Hello, you're watching Avenue X. Today, let's talk about a recently started airing Chinese web period drama, Jiu Chong Blossom. This is a 34-episode idol period drama that has recently started airing on the platform Tencent. It is based on a web novel written by the author Zhi with the same title that was initially published on the web novel site 起点中文网. If you watch past episode 10, you'll know why. The drama is titled 九重子 because it refers to the name of a type of flower that is kind of a symbol for the female lead character. Although I still think they should change the title because there are too many existing Chinese period dramas with that title in its English translation, particularly when you're trying to search pirated copies of this drama with its English title, you know. The drama is directed by Zeng Qingjie, who has been really active and over the last couple of years has produced quite a few very successful short-form period dramas. He can deliver consistently a very acceptable level of product. As for the leads, I think no need to introduce them. They've been around for a while, and they have all kind of achieved their certain level of fame within their arena. Then in terms of the story, it is a what we call reincarnation type of or rebirth type of story, although you can interpret that however you like. You can say the first time is real life that happened, or you can say that the whole thing is just a young girl's dream. And we have seen a lot of that in recent years. You have 宁安如梦 last year with Bai Lu and Zhang Linhe. This year you have Zhang Linhe again being a part of this type of story, acting opposite Zhao Jingmai, and now you have Meng Ziyi and Li Yunrui. So this is an extremely common setup of web novels. Our female lead is a lady of a family who are, during Ming Dynasty, the type of 氏族, her father, her uncle, her whole family lineage working in the court. Pretty good birth for her, but then she doesn't have the best childhood. And in her first life, she did marry well into an aristocrat family, but it turned out the husband is just a jerk. Before she died, she met our male lead character, who was in the first life a general, who is also sort of on the brink of burnout of his life. They kind of met at the end of their first life, and the death kind of had a magical thing happening to it so that they get reborn in a way. So she wakes up in her 10-year-old, 11-year-old body, having the whole memory of a first life. And knowing what happened later in the politics, in the court, she strategically started to train herself, do things, so that she can avoid all the mistakes she made in the first life and probably survive in a not-so-ideal political environment that is to come. Like many rebirth stories, nothing really that special about it. But then this drama, as a drama, is very, very, very enjoyable. So I have watched up to episode 13. I really have no complaint about this drama. Is it a 3 gold mine drama? I would have to say I'll hold it off until the end. If the whole 34 episodes finished running and it's all very satisfactory, I could give it a 3 gold mine. Not because I think it is the best drama out there, but because this year we're very, very deprived of good idol period dramas. And so far, this is like December, mid-December already almost. This is the best idol period drama I've seen this year coming from Chinese drama land. Just before it, there's the success from Tencent as well, 永夜星河, Eastern Fantasy, which I liked because I was traveling while it's finishing airing. I didn't have time to make a final review video of that drama, but I did watch through it. As an idol fantasy drama, the best we have this year. But that genre, type of story, the characters, it's like aged down too much for me. And because it's unrealistic, it's fantasy, it's demons and 妖怪 and magics and special effect, it's just not my cup of tea anymore. I'm definitely more in the realism world, and if you can tell a really good story in a realism world, I'd consider that to be a harder job to do, basically. So this period drama is not serious, historical, it's not that real, but it's a step away from the pure fantasy world, and I honestly prefer this type of story because I feel whether it's the joy or the sadness, the suffering, whatever of the main characters in the more realistic settings, I can relate easier, and I just feel it has more weight and more dramatic tension than, say, completely fantasy lifted out of reality story. So that's just my preference. So far, this is my favorite idol period drama this year. Let's go into details. I don't really have complaints. I mean, if you want to really say it's not fully acted by the actors' voices, they do get dubbed. This is probably the only thing I'll deduct points from the drama. But then again, for the overall enjoyment and flow of the story, if you use their real voice, sometimes it just may not work as well because young actors these days, right? 80% of them have problems with line delivery. The first good thing about this drama is it's not hard to tell that it's being controlled by a storyteller. I believe in this case, the director, Zheng Qingjie. This guy knows what he's doing. You can't say that for a lot of other Chinese drama directors these days. You have the feeling that he is editing it in his head before he even started shooting. So when he shoots, he has very clear plan and very little redundancy. There are many Chinese dramas, period dramas, when you watch, you feel the director actually has no clue about what he's doing. So he would basically cover a scene with as many cameras as he can, and then just leave all the job to the editor in a post-production to torture the editor with thousands of hours of footage to cut something out of that. It is extremely inefficient and often actually doesn't produce good results because you are not lighting for each specific shot. Even when you have a lot of footages, you still may end up in a situation where you just don't have that perfect one shot that needs to tell the story, and then you have to compromise and result in a story that visually is just not as interesting. So when you're watching Zheng Qingjie's drama, from early days when he did those short dramas that were successful, you can clearly tell this director just knows exactly what he's doing. If he gets a scene, he would already in his head plan the whole sequence. And when they actually go into shooting, if it's, say, a 2 pages of dialogue, you can feel this director actually breaks it down, say, 5 stages. During that whole sort of 5 stages, right, he would know I only need a wide shot at this point, and everything else could be cut between 2 people over the shoulder or even closer, but I don't need a wide shot. You can feel like he already decided it before he shot it, and then he went on shooting it, so he doesn't need to waste time setting up unnecessary shot that eventually is not going to end up in the drama. The other thing is, because he knows what he wants, therefore he can put all the effort into, say, let's make every setup nice. Pick the perfect focal length, pick the perfect sort of camera movement. We can even try a couple of more moves to see what comes out best. Light it really well, which is important. If you're covering from 5 angles, you're not gonna make the thing look good in every angle, and that's just how light works in reality. So what results in this type of shooting and this type of understanding narrative visually director's work is that the thing will look better and cost less time and makes everybody happier so they don't have to work overtime, and overall quality improves. Now that all comes from director's experience and being very assured of what he wants to do and know how to do it. And I can so tell this is this type of period drama compared to most of other type of period dramas I see in Chinese drama. And I feel like every drama should be shot like this. And if it cannot be done that way, then you should question why you're hiring these people to do the job. Maybe you should hire other people. Second point actually is also to do with the director. Apart from, I think he knows how to do a visual narrative story, very engaging pacing, even in the editing room. But also, I think while they're on set, if you look at all the special footages, they feature footages of them working behind the scene, I can tell this director really knows how to tweak performances, particularly romantic storytelling, because he's done a lot of short dramas that are like that and that are all very well done. Sometimes it's just one flicker of eye or one look in one direction or one tiny movement of the body that instantly conveys the meaning of this subtle power play, push and pull between potential or already lovers. A lot of people are very numb to the subtle signals. If you cannot bring that little bit of very specific acting out for this shot, then you need to redo it. This director guy knows what audiences are looking for. If it's not for this director, this drama will be totally different. Then the next point would be, I would also contribute, so far the first 13 episodes being extremely enjoyable for me, to scriptwriters adapting the original book. I haven't read the original book, but I do know there are differences and shifting of things and concentration of things. And I think so far the adaptation writers did a really good job of making very long, very like diary and journal like daily life recording like original novel into a very dramatic storytelling that it hooks you from episode 1 and it actually never loses the attention. The drama has been very economical with its shots. If something doesn't need to be shown on camera and you can already sort of like as an audience fill up the gap in your head, then they don't show it. They just go to the next scene and you wouldn't actually feel it's odd or jumpy. You just feel it's really densely packed, highly informational heavy, not wasting your life, and overall pacing is flowing really nicely. And that definitely comes from script. And then you build upon it with direction and acting and all that. So on script level, the best thing they've done is condense and then reorder and then dramatize it for visual storytelling. If they actually follow the original book, it would be a very boring, bland, and 60 episodes drama that nobody has patience to watch through. Then I want to add one more point that's also to do with the script writing and storytelling, but it's just one isolated point. I guess because I can compare it to other dramas I've seen this year that failed at doing it well, which is setting up our lead characters with enough space so that audiences start to have this strong sympathy for them so that their story can properly unfold. You have a lot of dramas these days that falls into this stupid belief just because you scream really loudly, people are gonna feel it. Wrong example is 春花宴, Kill Me, Love Me, that has happened recently, where they spent 5 minutes setting up the female lead's previous life, all the tragedies she suffered that made her who she is, like becoming the assassin. You gave no time for audiences to even get to know who your lead character is, and they just assume people don't care. And that's so wrong, because you have to do it. You have to lay the groundwork to build the pyramids. Without the foundation, nothing exists. This drama, 九重子, did the right thing, which is first episode is purely for setting up the previous life for our female lead, and it's actually very condensed, but it gives all the right things, and you see her in her 30s already, married 10 years, doing all the right things she's supposed to do, yet she still doesn't get husband's love. She's sick, and she gets betrayed. By the point that she's running towards her home, you already feel so bad for her, and then she meets the male lead, things end really bad for them. And it's like a life filled with regret. So you're left at that point where you don't know them that well, but you know them well enough to feel really sorry for them, and you really want to know if they get a second chance. And then the story goes into reborn, and then you see them as kids and growing up. So that's a really comfortable story flow that you get to know the characters well enough, you care about them well enough at the point where the audiences get satisfied with. Now you live the second life, and every step of the way now we're with them, rally for them to succeed. So I just want to point that one thing out. If anybody is questioning about, well, this drama is doing really well, they should look into the first 2 episodes and understand, for this type of rebirth story, this is how you do it. My last point is the casting choices of these 2 leads, plus a couple of supporting roles, is really well done. For Li Yunrui and Meng Ziyi, I've seen their previous works. To me, they're just like 2 good looking enough people, but not so outstanding in comparison to all the pretty people in the industry. And then in terms of their acting, again, I was never impressed by any of them doing anything before. And I came into this drama completely neutral. I'm just trying to see what happens. And honestly speaking, the director's name is more attractive to me than the actors, because I've watched all his short dramas and know he just is really good at making romantic story work. Let's see if this guy can play magic on Li Yunrui and Meng Ziyi, and he did. Also, these 2 people really actually come together really well on camera together. The small-eyed guy with the giant eye girl looking at each other. Grape looking at raisin. That's how they're being called on China's internet. I found it's really funny. So far, the romance that has been played out between this couple is really, really well captured. And I highly appreciate the drama did it in a very subtle way. It's very restricted. It's very limited. Occasionally, it does have like a little bit out of the line sort of action between them, but it's not weird. It's not making them act like contemporary people. It's still sort of fitting into the society's expectation of your behaviors. And then for the other guys, like there's another guy and another guy who you can call them male second or third. They're both very interesting characters on their own. And I highly appreciate that they're not 2%. They're not just like set there as a competition for the male lead. They barely actually compete with the male lead at all. Each has their absolutely adorable things about them, and nobody is perfect, but just enjoyable. Okay, overall really enjoyable. I like Quan Yilun's character, Wu Shan. He was the brother general in 古相思曲. I'm really happy to see him again in this drama, and so far he's one of the most adorable, pure-hearted characters in this drama. Anything else I want to say good about it? Oh, one last thing is the dialogues. The written words the characters speak is at a really well-designed level of sounding not contemporary, so they still sound like they belong to ancient time, but not too burdened with like sounding like ancient people that it's like pretentious. Hardly any grammatic mistake. At least as I was watching, I didn't notice. I didn't get like, oh, that's like completely wrong. You can't say that for most of the other period dramas these days. The only thing now to worry about is whether they can maintain this storytelling quality till the last bit. It's Chinese drama land. Maybe tomorrow is avalanche, or I don't know, the water dam is finally broken and everything is trashed. That should be the end of this video. Thank you for watching Avenue X. I'm finally back to talking about dramas specifically. It's been a month, I know, and if you still haven't unsubscribed, I thank you for your patience. And let's all hope the last bit of 2024 is gonna bring us nothing but good news. Thank you for watching Avenue X. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.